Hi, and welcome to my channel. My name is Michael, and I'm exploring all the different ways that stationery can bring me joy. I'm really excited because today I'm going to be going to the Hobonichi preview event at Yoseka Stationery in Brooklyn, and I'm going to get to see all of the new planners and journals available, as well as get to test some of the paper. I already tested one pen when I went to Yoseka and wrote in their tester, but I'm excited to bring a myriad of items today. And so I'm going to be using this pen roll to kind of bring some of my items. This is from thecoffeemonsterzco. It was in my subscription, and it's a really handy little tool, and I am excited to use it for this here with this little emoji charm on there as well. So here are the things that I'm going to be bringing along with me to test in the new Hobonichi Sanzen paper. First, I have this alcohol marker from Ohuhu. This bleeds through almost anything, so I'm excited to just see how the new formula of the paper handles it. So I'm going to be bringing that along. I am also going to be bringing with me this fountain pen. This is my Mahjong A1, I believe, and it is retractable, and I use it almost every day, so I just want to see how it is going along, how it gets along on the new paper. I'm also going to be bringing my Muji aluminum fountain pen. Currently, the ink that I have in here is Diatramentus ink, and it bleeds through my weeks, so I'm excited to see how the new papular formulation kind of deals with it as well. Just get her in there. I'm going to be bringing this Jinhao pen. This is a pretty broad writer, and it leaks through my weeks as well. And so I'm going to test it out and see if I can get this puppy to function, because I really love this pen. Then I'm going to also bring a Pentel signature sign pen. I use these in a lot of my writing, and so I'd like to see how the paper handles it. I'm going to be bringing the classic Tombow Fudanesque brush tip pen. This is the hard tip. I use this in my planner a lot, and so just want to see how that's going to look. And then I'm bringing this Stabilo Boss highlighter, and this is the special one because it's the black highlighter, and I want to see how that goes through, whether it's going to ghost or bleed. And last but not least, I want to bring this Midori stamp. I use this in my reading notebook, and it's an oil-based stamp, and I just kind of want to see how the paper handles it. I wouldn't be using this in my Hobonichi, but it's a good test for non-chalk ink stamp pads and how they function. So I'm just going to tuck everything nice in here and get it together to take with me after work today. I love that I'm having this opportunity to test all of these items, and I'm pretty excited to get to see all of the products in person. I think what's going to be really interesting about going in person is seeing how my opinions or my choices that I made from the online releases may or may not change once I see them in person. It's a free-for-all at this point, but I guess I will see you and future me at the event in Brooklyn later today, so let's go. After work, I made the long journey from the Bronx to Greenpoint, Brooklyn, to go to Yoseka. It was a lovely day, and so after getting to read on the train for a bit, walking in the sunlight over to the store felt quite nice. There was Yoseka, and across the street, Yosekaland, their new event space where they were hosting their Hobonichi preview party. The space was really beautiful and well organized. They've definitely done some updates even since the last time I was there for the ink event, and it was really nice to see all of the covers and planners on display. Here's the One Piece collaboration, and while I'm not a huge anime fan, it was nice to see them kind of highlighted here on this cabinet. and then getting to see just the whole spread of all of the different collaborations and colors and, you know, sizes that were available was quite lovely. There were many people coming in and out. It took me quite some time to get a time to kind of grab them all without people being there looking, and I didn't want to disturb people, you know, sampling and looking at all the different covers. But there they all were, and they also had some of the accessories and cover-on covers and pouches and stationery little items available to look at as well. So I thought I'd jump in and start practicing my writing and the new paper. So here I am with the alcohol-based marker, and then popping in with my Diatramentus ink. Although I actually think that this is inked with TWSBI black, not Diatramentus. That's in my Muji pen. And I did not get video of me using the Muji pen or the Jinhao. I am not a professional vlogger, and so I definitely messed that up a little bit. But you can see here me going in with the brush pens and then with my highlighter, and then popping in here with the stamp. And so I think it's really amazing to see that there's definitely ghosting with this stamp, but it didn't bleed through at all, which is pretty impressive. And for most of the writing instruments, only some ghosting. The marker had heavy ghosting, but only some bleed through on that. What I wrote is Iroshizuku ink, but that's actually the Diatramentus blue black. They also had some fun things that you could do, like, you know, grabbing a sticker or stamping, and so I couldn't resist, you know, getting in there and stamping some of the sample paper they had available so that I could use it in my planner. So here we are back at my desk, and I thought it would be really fun to put an entry in my stationery journal about the Hobonichi preview, and while I am making the spread, kind of insert videos of individual accessories, planners, covers that I thought were really, really exciting, kind of overlaid with me making this spread. So as you can see, this is my Yoseka Stationery Traveler's insert. You know, my last entry was about unboxing my thoughts about Hobonichi 2026. And so I'm going to be journaling in here and showing you those items one by one. So the first thing was the 2 weeks that I'm most interested, which are in the full moon yellow and the antique green. They had them available to look at, and they were both really lovely, and kind of, you know, the basic weeks format. Still definitely my top options for what I want my weeks to look at, since I do keep them in a Trogan cover. You know, having a decorative cover isn't really that important since it gets covered up. I did, however, also see these weeks, the soft cover weeks, and they kind of have almost like a pleather feel to the cover. They were really, really beautiful, and not necessarily for me, but I do have a friend who wants me to purchase a weeks for them while I'm at the sale in person. And, you know, he is a lawyer, and I thought I would take some video of those because that actually might be a really great option for him since they're kind of a little more professional. Next up was the embroidery style covers. These are done by the artist Iyo Okimi, and they're called A Story About Me. It's this beautiful embroidery with these little like lace book covers. I loved these when they were released on the internet, and they are just as beautiful in person, if not even more beautiful, because it's like actually embroidered fabric. And I was so obsessed at looking at them. They also have pencil boards with the artist's embroidery designs on them in all of the sizes, and it's going to be really hard for me not to want to get all of these as well. And they even have a special 5-year Hobonichi journal box set that has the embroidery designs, and that was so beautiful to look at. Very tempting to start my 5-year journey, but don't know if I have a concrete purpose for that, so I may resist until I know what I would use that for. Next, I took a look at the Yumi Kiragishi covers and accessories. It was really cute to see they had this ballpoint pen with the adorable figure on the top, as well as a sticky note roll that was really enticing. And I was just obsessed with this little embroidered bookmark. I guess I'm really into the embroidery this year from Hobonichi. While Yumi Kirigishi is not exactly my super cup of tea for a cover, I do think that the accessories are just enough cute and whimsy that I would kind of be into them. I also took a look at the Liberty Fabrics new design. This one was called Butterfly Stopper, this pattern. It was quite beautiful. It was nice to kind of get to feel them. I had seen the other Liberty Fabrics, but it's nice to have the texture in your hands. And I also got to look at the drawer pouch. I've been really intrigued by the drawer pouch, and the Liberty Fabric one is definitely really, really beautiful. The fabric print is really lovely, and the pouch does seem like it would be really, really useful and utilitarian. And of the covers of the pouch or colors, this Liberty Fabrics definitely stood out to me. I think that I need to probably hold my horses on pouches. I have a lot of them. They are very tempting because, you know, they're organizational tools, and how can you say no to an organizational tool? But if I were to acquire another pouch, I think the drawer pouch is something that would be on my radar. I took a look at this botany set. It's called Garden of Botany by the company Tolite. Their designer is Mei Aoyama, and I didn't think that I liked these as much when I saw them online, but seeing them in person, I actually really do love the dark plaid and the contrast of the flowers. I may have a contender for getting a new cover with the embroidered covers in the Garden of Botany collection. And so now I kind of have to go back and forth and think about which one I would like to get. I took a look at the mother covers. These are inspired by a game designed by Shigesato Itoi. They're lenticular covers, or lenticular, which means that, you know, you move them and the image moves, which is really cool. Not necessarily my cup of tea, but the lenticular design was really fun to see. And, you know, if you do have that issue where, like, your nails rubbing against that kind of plastic ridge is an issue, that might come up here, because they definitely have that feel to them. And they also have, you know, some just hone options for the cousin and the original, as well as a week's cover there as well. They were really playful and fun. I'm definitely more like excited by them by seeing them in person, and so I think just know that they're as vibrant and like really cool as they look online. I moved on to the Candy Striper covers, which are based off of a fashion brand from the 90s. They're fun and had a nice kind of like sheen to them. The Shih Tzu on the inside of each of them was quite adorable. Definitely something that, again, is not in my wheelhouse necessarily, but fun to see in person. It was really great to see all of these different covers and things, because it definitely, you know, made me kind of get to see the quality of what I was looking at. And, you know, if I am moving into a cousin this year for my personal journal as opposed to the A6 size, I will be needing a new cover, and so it was nice to kind of solidify what I wanted. I also took a look at the, you know, accessories by Tsukino Ito, and the dot and index stickers, the sticky notes. Those were really, really cool. They had the Uniball 1 pen sets that you could look at. that match the colors of each of the months in the planners. I'm definitely interested in the sticker set from this collection because the way that they look in the monthly spreads on the samples online is so amazing. I also got to see this calligraphy cover from the artist Yuichi Inoue and this letter envelope style cover that was quite beautiful, as well as some other leather covers that Hobonichi had available to look at. These were all quite beautiful. I mean, I know that they're a little bit more pricey, but definitely high quality. I tend to not like the zipper style covers that were shown there at the end. I had one on my work cousin this year. It wasn't one of the leather ones, but it definitely feels a little more bulky. But if you're someone who has a lot of ephemera or cards or things that you need to keep together, they're definitely great. I popped over and saw the cover on covers from the Tamagotchi collaboration, and they're so fun and nostalgic. As somebody who grew up having a Tamagotchi, or a Gigapet, if you were a Gigapet girly, it was really fun to see these cover on covers and how vibrant they were, and they would look great on the regular, color covers for the different sizes. I also was interested in seeing the cover on cover made by the artist Yuri Sanai, and they had those here as well, and these are just beautiful. I guess I'm just really into florals or embroidery this season, because I found these to be quite lovely, and even thought about what they would look like on my weeks, perhaps since I know that the larger sets I would want to get covers that have designs on them already. And that was all of the things that I looked at individually. You can see here my little journal spread for the preview event is done. I even drew one of the embroidery samples from the cover that I really love, one of the plants on there, as well as took some time to write out my thoughts, which are summed up by the fact that I'm still confused because seeing everything, it was so beautiful. Now I still don't know what I want, but I guess I have some introspection to do. But I am really happy with this layout. So I think it's time to move on to the right side of the spread. I recently bought this watercolor mini palette to start my watercolor journey, inspired a lot by Micah Oatley, who's the artist behind the Cat Collage Club. I watch a lot of her videos where she uses watercolors to create her weekly spreads, and I thought I would try some of that myself. And so this little palette opens up, and it has 12 colors inside. They come kind of wrapped like starbursts, so I need to go and take care of that unwrapping to kind of set the palette up. And so it also comes with this little tiny travel brush, which I think is so adorable. And I'm really excited to learn how to watercolor and to be able to take this on the go and do watercoloring wherever I would like to. So here is some movie magic of me, presto changeo, unwrapping all of those little colors so that I can get started with my very first watercolor spread ever in my stationery notebook. I also have this Tombow water brush pen that I picked up at Atlas Stationers in Brooklyn to kind of make this process a little easier. While I was at the Hobonichi event, the preview at Yoseka, I was just in awe of the amount of people who were there and who were kind of talking about their planners and their journal setup. There were so many individuals who were talking to the staff members, to each other, about their, planner and notebook ecosystems. The people who were working there, had their own weeks to show off to the people who were looking at the preview. I myself got caught up in a lot of conversations with some individuals there about, journaling in the A6 original versus the cousin, and how the cousin feels a little bit heavier, but, as someone who keeps my journal at home, that wasn't really a big issue for me. Whereas for other people, that's a big consideration as to getting the AVEX system. I shared how I used my AVEX as a teacher, and, busted mine out. And then someone was asking me about the little tabs that you stick in that I had from the Coffee Monster Co. And someone even noticed that my Coffee Monster Co. pen roll was there, and they were like, "Oh, it's a tater in the wild." And we talked about that. Another woman came up to me as I was kind of like looking at the cousin, and she was like, I have this A6 original and they have the weeks supplement, but I really wish they had the weeks in the A6. And I was like, I am the opposite. I want to get a cousin, but I don't know what I'll do with the weeks. And I wish they made a cousin that didn't have the weeks inside of it. And then we talked about the day free and, lamenting about how it's not a full 300 days worth of paper. And then there were conversations about like, well, having the dates versus not, and the pressure of having a dated, journal versus not. And one of the, people I was talking to was like, I thought I was the only one who had these problems or who thought about these issues. And it was just so funny, and like a spirit of camaraderie there as we stood over this table of beautiful planners and covers and accessories for the new year, to not only be thinking about the, consumerism aspect of it, of like what we wanted to purchase, but to also just like realize that there are people who find so much joy, as I have learned to find for myself, in the art of journaling, in keeping planners, in, having a space to write down your thoughts and your feelings, and how we all do it in such different ways, but it, is something that we all had in common. And, even in stamping, people were like, oh, I brought this paper to stamp with, or I brought sticker paper, and like talking to them about other stamp rallies that they've been to, or stamp caravans. It was just all such a lovely experience, and I felt like, I could have grabbed random 3 or 4 people in that room, and we could have gone to a restaurant across the street and probably had a wonderful dinner, and I would have made new friends instantly. And how this, community of people who not only who like Hobonichis, but just planning and journaling in general, is such a heartfelt, warm community. And I feel like so privileged to kind of have my voice inserted, at least in the planner sphere on the internet, and that I get to share my thoughts and feelings, with those people in that space at Yoseka, but also now here online, and to have so many people comment is just so amazing. And like I feel like I could have made instant friends with anybody there, is the way that I feel about all of the people whose, videos I watch on the planning side of YouTube, but also the people who have commented on my own. I just really love this kind of, wonderful group and like online village that has been created. And I'm just so excited that I am a part of it. And that, I came across that TikTok, so many months ago that kind of led me down the path to where I am today. And so the right side of my insert for this entry doesn't really have anything to do with the Hobonichi preview. I put in this lovely kind of like rainbowy watercolor background to kind of highlight the fact that I am so excited that I have reached, 500 subscribers here on YouTube. I am so appreciative of every single one of you who is here listening, and commenting or not commenting, but, carrying my thoughts around in your mind, if for a second or longer. I am just so happy to have hit this milestone, and to know that there are so many people who have the same interests and want to share them with me and with others. And with that, we're at the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed going to the Hobonichi preview with me and that you got to see some of the covers you're excited about. Again, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you taking the time to go to this preview with me. Until next time, I hope that you have a great rest of the day and that you keep exploring the possibilities that a blank page can bring you. I will catch you in the next video. All right, goodbye.